According to a Harvard study, 90% of what we think, feel, and do all comes down to habits. So it's no surprise that the most widely successful people, the 1%ers, have totally different habits than you and me and the rest of the world. So I went out and I read the best 3 books, the highest rated and most viewed on Amazon, all to do with habit change, so you don't have to. And here are the best big ideas from each and every single one of these. Let's get right into it. So unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard of Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I think this is one of the most, if not the most, highest rated book on Amazon and reviewed. I think this has like tens of thousands of 5-star reviews, and I see why. When I personally was reading through it, I was constantly highlighting and making notes every other paragraph. This book is full of wisdom and nuggets of insights, and they're all really practical and it's spoken to in such a simplistic way, which is what I love about this book. I always say if I can find at least one life-changing idea from a book, it's definitely worth the money, and this had tons of them. My biggest takeaway from this book that I think will be instrumental in your life and anyone else's is the 3 layers of habit change, and I'll put a graph up here. But oftentimes when we think of changing a different habit of ours, right? If it's a good or bad habit, we think of process and action. If I want to lose weight, I go to the gym more. If I want to create a habit of waking up early, I put my alarm clock earlier. It's always the action that we're doing. But James Clear takes it a step further from before and makes such an insightful point where if you want true sustainable habit change, it doesn't start with the actions or the processes, it starts with identity. And that's where things become so much clearer to me, because if you want to lose weight, it's not that I have a goal to hit in 10 weeks or I want to lose 10 pounds or I'm going to remove all the junk food from my kitchen. It's I'm a healthier person, so I eat this way anyways. It's not that I'm going on a diet, so I'm eating this way. It's like I'm a healthy person. I'm an athletic person. By shifting your identity, it radically shifts your beliefs and thoughts, which radically shift your habits. Permanent change starts with consistency, not intensity. And it's a deep bedrock in our society of mindset that the harder we work at something, if I just try harder to wake up earlier or lose weight or play the piano, I'll eventually play it. But our brain and mind doesn't work that way. The only way for true sustainable habit change is to change your identity. When you change your the personality of yourself, then everything changes. For example, I never used to read a lot of books until I started a book club because I wanted to hold myself accountable by reading more books. By doing so, I started to notice myself talking to other people saying I'm a reader. And inherently by saying I'm a reader, I find more pockets of time to read because I'm a reader. Find first, when you're trying to change a good or bad habit, what James Clear says is don't look at the actions, don't look at the process like we've been taught in school or through movies or education. First, what is the identity shift you want to make? What kind of person do you want to become? Why are you doing this habit change? And from there, when you start identifying yourself as that person, over time, the habits and everything else will come naturally. It's such an easy, frictionless way to change yourself for good, and it blew my mind when I read it for the first time, and I've never been the same ever since. The next big book is Tiny Habits by Fogg, and he is actually the godfather of behavior design change. He runs the behavior design lab at Stanford, and he's kind of the guy who inspired a lot of these other books, thus the name Tiny Habits, Atomic Habits. There's a mini habits. So you started catching on here, right? He is so research and science backed heavy. Like Atomic Habits is more of just like sure, there's a lot of research behind it, but a lot of it's just also just personal application. His is like, I have thousands or hundreds of clients. He has tiny habit coaches. It's so specific and detailed. Like if you want to really learn about habit change, I would ignore the other 2 and I would go straight to this one, because this is where you get from the source itself, right? Where all these guys draw inspiration from. Tiny habits. The biggest thing that shifted my perspective is creating habits so small that they're almost impossible to fail. So he has this Fogg curve, and I'll put a graph up here as well. But within this curve, he talks about an action happens when motivation meets ability meets prompt, meaning I'm motivated to go on a run and I have the ability to run, and I remind myself through a prompt or something to run. That's when a behavior happens. The issue is that once again, today's society, we try so hard. We have such big and hairy and monstrous goals that it's like when I want to start meditating, I'm going to start meditating 20 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes a day. He says that change is all about consistency, not intensity. Change requires discipline of doing something every single day. But the toughest part about discipline is motivation, right? MAP, M-A-P, motivation, ability, prompt. Ability and prompt, most people have. Prompt is really simple. Ability is if you want to become an ice skater, then you should know how to ice skate. Otherwise, you're never going to do it in the first place. But a motivation is one where we get most hung up on. So in order to make that frictionless as possible, he says, start with the habit so super small, so super tiny atomic mini habit that it's impossible to fail. if you want to start a meditation habit, he says don't even start with 1 minute. Start with 3 breaths a day. It's impossible to fail. Have a ceiling of what you're going to do on the busiest, craziest day of your entire life, meaning I'll do at a minimum 3 breaths. In an ideal day, I'll do 1 minute. And then slowly, gradually scale from there. The way I installed it was I wanted to go running in the morning because I saw my favorite influencers, gurus, whatever. I don't run anymore, but this is back when I was trying to become a runner. And I could never run for the life of me. I just swear to God, I couldn't. I hated running. I hated it with every fiber and being in my body. But in the book, he said, make it so super small that it's impossible to fail. So I started not with even running or walking. I started with just putting my shoes on because I followed an example he gave in the book with one of his clients. So I would just put my shoes on and then celebrate that I put my shoes on. That's one of the things he talks about, like gratifying or gratitude practice or reward or celebration. He says celebrating your achievements is more important than even the habit itself because celebrating gives you that dopamine hit to lock the habit in so you never have to worry about it in the first place. So celebrate every single time, even if you do the 3 breaths, because then those dopamine hits are like, shit, I want more of that, whatever you did there. And celebrating can just be like a fist pump, happy. And he says celebrating will be such an important skill, it'll be just as important as meditation or gratitude in the future. Anyway, that was a side tangent because I put my shoes on and I celebrated. And it felt so fucking stupid to do that. But over time, after a few days from putting my shoes on, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna step outside today. Not walk, I'm just gonna go outside. And then I did that every single day and I celebrated. Then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna walk up the driveway. So I put my shoes on and walked up the driveway every single day. And over time, I built a habit of where I started walking 5 minutes and 10 minutes. And then I started running. And then I started going on jogs. And then ultimately I ended up trying to run a marathon like 2 years ago. It's pretty crazy how much these small, tiny habits can change. But like he said, those small, micro, tiny habits done daily consistently over time create a tsunami of mastery. It's the insignificant small changes that we make every single day. And that was one of the biggest things I took from his book. Anytime I try to install a new habit, first is identity change. Second is how do I make it so stupid, simple, small that it's impossible to fail? And then I run it through the MAP formula, the motivation, ability, prompt formula, in order to make sure that habit sticks and stays permanent. And then I slowly scale it over time. And I've never had a problem sticking with a habit ever since. The third highest rated book is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And this one was my introduction into the whole habit formation world because I loved how approachable and practical this was, since it's not a very scientific book. It's a very, once again, practical, realistic book. It's about a guy and his own experiences and how he went down his own rabbit hole of learning everything there is to know about habit formation and change. And that's why I really love this book. It's a very practical guide, very entertaining read actually. It's pretty funny if you read the book. But the biggest thing that I took away from this book is, we were talking about earlier how there's prompt, right? The MAP solution. Prompt is what he calls a cue in this book, a cue to do the habit. And in his opinion, which I to an extent agree, is this is the most important part of a habit, because if you don't remember to do the habit, you're not going to do it in the first place, which is what happens to most of us. How many times do I say I'm going to take my vitamins every morning and I don't do it? Or I'm maybe going to floss, or whatever these small habits are, like I'm going to avoid this food, or I'm going to remember to eat my veggies, or anything like that, or I'm not going to smoke today. People forget that they even had the habit idea in the first place and they never do it anyway. He said that there's a powerful way to remind yourself of cues, and it can be location, it can be time, it can be even your state of mind, but remembering to do the habit in the first place, the best way to do it is to pair it with a habit you already do. For example, when I wanted to start taking my vitamins every morning, I learned from this book, what is a habit I do every morning? I brush my teeth every morning. For some reason, I haven't missed that since I was, 10 years old, because it's just so ingrained in my daily routine. So I started putting my vitamins right in front of my toothbrush. So every single morning when I go reach my toothbrush, I have to move my vitamins out of the way, which reminds me to take my vitamins. So his idea is to use cues as a powerful reminder to do the habit, but to pair those cues with already habits you do in the first place. And he talks about like literally putting things in the way that you almost trip over them to remind yourself. Like, he talks about if you want to start a meditation habit, almost have like a pillow on the floor that you trip over every morning that reminds you to do the meditation habit. Now that's a bit aggressive, but find ways in your life of habits you already do. Maybe you're someone who drinks coffee every morning. Remind yourself to read the book or newspaper while reading your coffee by putting the newspaper on your coffee. Another way I did this was I wanted to break the bad habit of reaching my phone first thing in the morning, and I wanted to do a gratitude journal every morning. So what I started doing instead was I put my gratitude journal right on top of my phone right before sleeping every night, because most of the time I just forget to do the gratitude journal. I'll go to my phone, waste time for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and I would forget and then start my day. And then 1 hour into my day, I'd be like, shoot, I need to do my gratitude journal. So now every time I reach my phone, everything, the first thing in the morning, I grab my gratitude journal instead by accident because my gratitude journal is on top of my phone. which reminds me to do that, and I do it anyway. Using cues is such a powerful way, and combining cues with already habits that are ingrained and set in stone for you is such a powerful mechanism in order to rapidly create momentum and pushing that habit with full force and making it installed immediately into your life. Identify what are some habits you already do, and I did that, and that was a great exercise he has in this book. So find like 20, 30 habits that you already do every day on a single basis, and some of them might be like very, very simple, like brushing your teeth or taking a bath, or just things you might not even realize. Like you might notice when you're at work, every single time around like 10 o'clock, you go get a donut. He has an example of this. So instead of the donut, he would reach now for a bag of nuts because it's healthier. There's random mini habits in our life that you don't even realize that you're doing on a daily basis. Find those habits, organize them on a list, and then use those exact habits in order to install new ones or break bad ones. And this will be a massive game changer and shift radically every single thing you're doing to be the power of habit, to be owning your habits so that they don't own you and you own them instead. Very good book. I recommend it highly. And this is one of the more approachable ones, like I said. I hope you guys got some value, or at least found this video entertaining. If you want to know where to start, because I think, first of all 3 books are 10 on 10s, but the best place to start, I would say, is probably Tiny Habits, because get it straight from the source, right? The guy who invented almost a topic. Then go to Atomic Habits, because it's the most insightful. I think you need kind of a baseline foundation in order to approach this book to get the most meat out of it. And then if you're just trying to fill in some knowledge gaps, go to Power of Habit. But otherwise, all 3 are great books, and I'll have them listed and linked in the description down below. If you made it this far into the video, I want to say thank you so very much. You're one of the real ones. And if you're new here, my name is Sid Chavla. I drop videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, on all things grooming, productivity, and personal development. I'm sure you can tell I'm a new YouTuber. I don't have that many very subscribers, and it would mean the world to me if you can hit that subscribe button, notifications bell, give me one of these thumbs up to let the YouTube algorithm push my video out and help me help you and help everyone get more value out of these videos. And also that thumbs up lets me know that, Sid, we appreciate you and thank you for all the hard work and energy you put into these videos. I have a goal of hitting 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I know this is a wild goal, but just one subscriber, if that can be you, will make the world difference for me and help me break into this journey, because I know it's a very saturated thing, and it'll help me break into this YouTube thing because I really want to make a difference and impact. So thank you guys so very much for all your kind support to help me on this journey. And yeah, I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. What is one trick or hack or tip that you want to share with the community that has helped you install, break, or make good habits? And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.